project. My buddy Matt messaged me the other day, sent me this link. He said, hey, check out this guitar. I think it might be something you're interested in. Needs a little work, but it could be something nice. It's a 1970 Telecaster. When I looked at the ad for this guitar, the seller had noted that the body was refinished in this beautifully aged nitro finish. And these guitars were kind of looked down upon because they were a thick poly finish, and some can say they killed the tone. They just didn't age properly. But this one was refinished in nitro, which was a plus. Now, he did say there was some oversanding on the body. The thickness is not necessarily 1 3/4 inches as they would be, but still, it was still a solid guitar. He also mentioned that the neck may have been fretboard laid on it, saying ebony. It does have some ebony characteristics, and the job, if it was done flawlessly. Even the edges are nice and smooth and beautiful. And, you know, with a 60s, a real early 60s neck pickup in here, a vintage control plate, you know, I figured for the project aspect of it, there was some stuff in here that was worth it. The neck is in great shape. It's not broken or anything like that. Now, one of the eyesores of the project was this back here. It had some routing done to it. So I made a piece of wood that fit that routing. I glued it in. And then I started thinking, this is something I should share on the channel because this is kind of what it's all about. I was able to message the seller and ask him a few questions. It turns out he watches the YouTube channel. So thanks to YouTube for that. We struck up a conversation, struck up a friendship. He gave me a great deal on the guitar, and he was looking forward to it being featured on the channel. So Wade, my friend, here it is. We're going to dig into this thing. This 1970s Tele. It's actually a 70 neck date from the pictures. And I did have the pick guard off, so I can tell that it is a 70 body. I basically want to lift the control cavity here. I want to see what's going on in here. I can hear some kind of darkness in the pots, so I'm wondering what's going on there. And the bridge pickup opposed to the neck pickup, there's a super huge contrast. Being a collector of parts, I scavenge as much stuff as I can. I have a 67 or 68 cloth wiring Telecaster bridge pickup. So that will go in this guitar. And I believe that I also have 2 old 60s Tele pots in my parts bin. So as far as electronics in that aspect, we will be 100% vintage. When I got this guitar out of the case, it was really, really inspiring because it just had this jangle characteristic, and it played. I had one high fret that I had to level, and the guitar just plays. It's got small frets in it now. I mean, you can't replicate that wear in that age. There's something that Custom Shop just can't do. You know, and yes, these guitars may be looked down upon by the, you know, I got called a cork sniffer this week, so that was a new one. I've been called a lot of things. Cork sniffer was not one of them, but these guitars can be looked down upon from the cork sniffers. But when you find something like this that's super vibey, it's refinished in nitro in a cool color, that gateway to get into collecting old guitars. Because if you have some knowledge of repair work, and you can really, you know, take care of one high fret and get the guitar playing right, you can take care of, maybe, you know, if you don't have vintage pots, just put the proper value in here. You can get that done, and you could have filled, I filled this with a piece of wood, but you could fill it with putty for all that matters. You know, as long as it looks good to the eye, it looks flat. I think I have a vintage sticker I'm going to put over here too. But yeah, so we're going to tear into this thing. I have a feeling that it just needs a little TLC, and I'm going to take you guys along with me because it's fun. It's something to do. I have the day off today, so we're going to tear into it and see what we can fix and see if we can make this thing that much more better. Again, I want to thank everybody on the YouTube channel. I want to thank my buddy Wade for making this happen. This is a really, really great score. I appreciate him giving me a great deal on this guitar to have another project to share with you guys. So we're going to dig into this thing, get this thing going. But yeah, man, just I'm amazed at what YouTube can do, you know. When I ever sent the message and he said, oh man, I'm a big fan of your channel, that's just it's very humbling. I talk nonsense and most people don't like it, but the few that do, I'm so grateful for you guys, because I just try to share what I can. And it's times like this, like where you know, something can happen. It's there, it's palpable. It's hey, sending a message and, oh, I'm a fan of the YouTube and will you feature it on the YouTube? Yes, and now we're seeing it. I'm grateful for everything. Enough talking. Let's dig into this thing and see what we can make right. All right, so like I said, the first thing I want to do is just lift the control panel, and I want to get a visual inspection of what's going on in here. Oh no. Are those 25K pots? If this is a 25K pot, this thing's going to sound amazing when we get some old pots in there. It may be a different way they're coated, but I don't know if you guys can see how small the potentiometers are here, but they're about the size of a dime. And the code on them looks to say 25K. Okay. I'm going to get some old parts in here. Doesn't have to be old, no, but that's what we're going to do because I have the stuff. Just to give you guys a rundown of what I got going on here. So, all right, this is actually a 66 Tele Bridge pickup. And you may remember this pickup from the Esquire video when I was trying some different combinations. But it's not a later 60s. And by this period to the guitar, they would have been with the vinyl wiring. But it kind of fits the vibe a little better. So we're going to put this one in here. This great pickup. This one is a flat pole that's in here. I'm not sure what it is. But we'll get this pickup in there. And then, so I have a nice old Sprague paper and oil .047, which would have been in there. Great. 66 Tele pot. Another 66 Tele pot here. So we do have enough to get this thing back to at least some vintage components. And I'm not saying vintage is better. Vintage, you know, has to go in the guitar. It doesn't. Whatever inspires you can go in there, and that's the truth. But I have this stuff, and I think it's more of a waste letting it sit in the bin than it is to put it in a guitar if you find one that could use it. So this one can use it, and it's going to go in there. I want to start by removing what I need to. So here's the jack wiring. That's going to stay. And what's cool here is it looks like the neck pickup is an early 60s north wound, and they reversed the leads on the wiring. So I mean, that in itself is a great you know, purchase. Would I have spent that much that I spent for the entire guitar for a neck pickup? No. But I mean, there were some really valuable components here, and I couldn't say no to it. So that for now. We'll set that all aside. I won't be using the capacitor or anything like that. But I will need the control switch. So we have our two jack wires. We can get those out of the way. We know this is to our neck pickup, so we'll keep that to the side. Now we got to figure out what's going on with the bridge here. I'm thinking that one of those ground wires coming from this cavity here is grounding the bridge plate. We'll see in a second. I'm not sure what this pickup even is, but had some cool tones. But either way, that's not here nor there. We have a plan. We're going to execute. Okay, so our next step, we'll just get this bridge pickup in line. Can probably pull these strings out too. I actually just sent Wade a photo of the repair I did on the back, and he texted me, matching that color would have been near impossible, but it looks great. So again, you know, you make a guitar purchase, you gain a new friend in that aspect, and you know, it's just really cool. He decided to let the project go, and you know, maybe I can take a swing at it now and see what I can do with it. But thank you, man. This is really exciting. Extremely affordable too, you know, for the guys, like I said, who want to get into doing vintage guitars. I mean, what's wrong with that? Having some parts that I would need on tap really, you know, persuaded me some, because I knew that I had a lot of components that the guitar would need to be put back to 100%. So, I mean, yeah, that does help, you know. And it's got potential, you know. I plugged into it and I played it. I could hear some sounds in there wanting to come out, so I want to make sure I get the ground in there too. If you don't understand what I mean about this extra ground too, this ground basically is used to ground the bridge plate along with all the electronics, so they all kind of share common ground. And yeah, no buzz, no hum, no annoying. Everything is getting grounded properly. And basically that ground wire is just laid on the wood and then sandwiched between you tightening the screws and the plate itself. So if you want to check and just confirm that your ground is there, just get your multimeter. So now if I'm on ground here, this should beep and we are good. We're grounded. So this ground will go to the pots when I build that. Man, 25K pots. They should have been 250K. That is incredible. Not saying it's gonna, you know, make the guitar sound any better, but it has to. Talk about sounding dark and there being contrast. Check my stash over here, see if I have something from VIP. I may have a Tele pot. Here we go. Boom, Telecaster pot from Sebastian over at VIP. Excellent. Thanks, Sebastian. Okay, so we had to go with the VIP pot over here in the tone position. I just didn't like the way that other one read. Now we have a cap somewhere over here. You know, I always go through this. I must wire up a heck of a lot of guitars, but I still will always consult the wiring diagram. Alright, so the cap is done. Now we'll wire everything else we have to now before we bring this back to the body to wire it up. So if I'm looking at the diagram here, we got the jumper installed. That's done. Now we gotta have a strip of wire from here to there. For you old Fender nerds, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to follow a pattern like the old ones. So that's that, and then there should be, let's see, those are those two. All right, yeah, we want to join the pots in ground. So basically, they'll share a ground as well, so there'll be no confusion. Ground is big too, you know. In the mechanic field, you know, we always try to drive it home that ground is 50% of the circuit, but a ground can also do, it can run havoc, it can wreak havoc if you don't, you know, just get your grounds good. A lot of the problems when amps, you know, old amps and stuff, they start to get bitchy and noisy. A lot of it is just oxidation around the grounds, but we're trying to do some justice here, so we'll focus on getting good ground joints. Okay, we are grounded. Pot is grounded. We just basically got to hook up our pickups now, and those will all get grounded to the same spot. This neck pickup too, like I said, great sounding neck pickup, but it's got no bushing, so we're gonna fix that. Okay, so this is a polarity tester. So basically, if the white is showing, it's a north wound. If the black is showing, it's a south wound. So that's a south wound pickup from a 66. And that's a north wound. All right, so that tells me that that's like a, could be anything from 56, 57, all the way up to 60, 61. So that's a cool score right there, I'll tell you that. So the bridge pickup's mounted. Now the tricky part comes when you have to tie all these grounds together. I try to get a good clean joint. Look at your surroundings, like where the soldering iron, what it's laying on, you know, what you could potentially damage. So we're down to the last two wires here. And again, it looks like they had the wiring on the Telecaster bridge, the Telecaster neck pickup flipped around, so obviously a clear indication that it was a north wound pickup. The thing about this guitar too is, you know, being that it is what it is, and I bought it as a project, and you know, the whole story around it, I'm not afraid if I want to maybe, you know, the body's not mint, so if this someday can be a donor for a, you know, a PAF in the neck position or something like that. Keith Richards I'm a big fan of, and you know, we can just have fun with it. So I wasn't getting any response from the tone control, but I think the issue might be basically taking that piece of wire and using this as a jumper instead of having to hear that. Alright, now we're working. You see, obviously, because I can go. Alright, so now we got all that working. We're going to focus on the neck pickup, which is a vintage old pickup. It just doesn't have any of the the rubber grommets underneath to kind of support it. Plus, look at the tan lines there. That's a really great contrast in color. And I also want to take a look at the pickup cover, because they reversed the leads on this pickup here because of the polarity, but the pickup cover is I think it's tied into the ground lead, which would actually be the hot for this pickup. So for a quick fix now, we're just gonna check it out in there, see if we can do something to kind of rectify that. First thing is I want to, again, your multimeter is a great tool with infinite amounts of use. So there's the cover. Now what part is the actual... Okay. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but here is the lead that came off the negative side, and that was tied into the pickup cover. Now, because we know this is north polarity and this is south polarity, they basically switched the hookup points in the control cavity. So essentially, the pickup cover was getting the hot signal. So I'm going to leave this here because I don't want to take away from it in case I ever want to put it back. And I'll see if I can just make a small pigtail and attach it there to essentially ground the white wire, because the white wire is now going to ground. Just putting a dab of solder on there just to keep everything happy. And then I'll just use this little piece of wire here. And really let that burn your fingertips to the point that you just hold it anymore. That was sarcasm. Essentially, we should be able to check here. So we'll check this to the bridge. We're grounded. Now, what I want to test is here to the pickup cover. All right, we're grounded now. Excellent. Okay. Normally a Telecaster would have 2 springs going through it to act as a cushion, and also when you want to tighten or lower the pickup, there's resistance there. Hopefully I can get these to kind of do the same thing. Okay, that's much more solid. You can see it's not rattling around as much. I'm going to put the cover on just for aesthetics, but it'll have to get adjusted more. Looks pretty great. So going back over it, you know, thinking about it, you know, when I first saw this guitar initially, I thought, if I can, you know, work out a deal and get it at a fair enough price, who knows, if it's a bust, maybe you can scour some parts out of it. And then, you know, talking to Wade about it, and you know, he knows the YouTube channel. That was really cool. And then when I got the guitar and was able to actually get my hands on it and see it, it had a lot of potential, and you just basically had to know how to approach it, in my eyes. You know, you had to be able to say, well, that can be taken care of. I can do something with that, and I can do something with that. I knew I could fix the route probably being the biggest eyesore in the back there. Is it the end of the world? No. It's fixed. I mean, yeah, granted, we didn't color match it dead on, but you know, I'm not a pro. I just did what I could with a piece of cherry. I mean, we're all there. We got a vintage neck pickup. Oh, let's see if the hum went away. This should, hopefully, if I turn this on in the neck position, some of that loud, annoying buzz should be gone, because now we have the cover grounded. Every time I was touching it, it was like I would have been touching the hot lead. That buzz you're hearing is just because there's no... There's no strings on it. There's no... My favorite Roy Buchanan tones ever. Obviously a little bit hectic in the video there, and I apologize. I kind of just want to get you guys right into it and see what's happening. It was a little weird at times, but we got everything worked out. I may have been confused or thrown off, but the guitar in the middle position is now out of phase. So I'm gonna go back in there, swap that around here at the control plate now. For some reason, I don't know what, maybe the bridge pickup was the culprit. Either way, I'm gonna get that back to normal. I really like the swing on that old cap. That works out great, the pots sound great. So I mean, yes, I had the pickup that I had to purchase at some point, but I also got that at a deal too. You know, like I said, I'm always trying to find something at a deal. The 2 pots I had, so I mean, I was able to put the electronics back to more period correct vintage. The frets on this guitar is so inspiring, and I'm having so much fun with it, and it's just got a cool sound to it as it is, you know. The patchwork at the back, I mean, yeah, you can see it, but I got a sticker I'll put over that, and obviously I'm not trying to hide anything because it's documented here in the video. But I really think I'm going to throw frets in this, a nice new bone nut instead of this plastic one here. I think it would just make this guitar come to life. It's lightweight, it's got a lot of tone in it, it's spooky in all the right ways, it's, you know, you get that microphonic. Next installment of this project, whenever that may be, I'm going to probably fret this guitar and get it all done. You know, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and yeah, thanks again to YouTube, thanks to all you guys, thanks to Wade for making this happen and giving me the opportunity to bring this thing back to life. I appreciate it. I hope this tech video was interesting to you guys, and I hope you can take something from it. We'll talk soon. Don't be a jerk to people. Peace. Man,